To me, Baja is freedom in all levels.
Anything can happen, it's Baja.
We got a bike problem, Heli Jim. We got a bike problem?
We're riding dirt bikes from Tecate to Cabo San Lucas, the entire length of the Baja Peninsula. Now, the peninsula is only 775 miles long, but the way we're gonna do it is we're gonna take you over 1,500 miles, ping-ponging from the Pacific side to the Sea of Cortez all the way down. This is the 2018 Monster Energy Ripped Cabo presented by Honda Motorcycles. Let's go for a ride.
Welcome to the U.S.-Mexico border, where we gather in Tecate to kick off the 2018 Monster Energy Ripped Cabo presented by Honda. Over the last dozen years, we have amassed a brotherhood of riders that have a massive love for Baja and the skills to challenge her most remote areas.
This group of riders, they're qualified riders to go on this ride. You've got to earn your stripes to get a ticket to come onto the Rip to Cabo. My name is Ryan Hagee. I'm from San Clemente, California, and this rip marks my 7th trip down the peninsula.
The only thing I want to ask you guys is to, use your head. You guys have gotten this far in life by making good decisions, or mostly good decisions, I would guess. We're gonna do this thing, 2018 Monster Energy Ripped Cabo presented by Honda Motorcycles. Let's go, come on.
My name's Ricky Brabeck from Sperry, California. I race motorcycles for HRC and Johnny Kemble professionally. Last year, the rip was long, a lot of riding last year. So I was like, I'll bring the rally bike. It's comfortable to ride for long periods of time.
The rally bike, it's built for speed. It's built for durability, high-speed roads and sand dunes.
When I first saw the bike, I've seen it in photos when he's doing Dakar Rally, and seeing it in person, it is one technologically advanced machine, and to hear him say it was 400 pounds, and see how little ground clearance it has, designed to be low, and how much fuel the thing carries. He rides the thing like a 125.
I mean, I think that's one of my favorite things is we roll across the border, and that's kind of just a sensation all to itself.
Back in the first days we were doing it was a lot different. We left out of Ensenada, and Big Daddy and Trigger's mom.
In one pickup truck, following us down the peninsula. There was no one going into the desert. If we broke down, the bike was gonna stay there, or we're gonna use tow straps and pull it out. There was, no medics. You got hurt, you were screwed. I mean, seriously, we were rolling the dice those early years of the rip.
The early years were a little loose for sure. We didn't have much support back then, but today we have the luxury of the riding medics who ride with us wherever we go on the trail. The Raptors are also an added bonus when we find ourselves in a sticky situation. They are able to drive onto most of the routes we use to load up bikes and, if needed, a rider. Day one is a fairly easy 150 miles, heading to our night's destination of Erendia on the Pacific Ocean. It gives the riders the opportunity to warm up before getting into the more difficult terrain ahead on our 2018 Peninsula run. As the sun rises and reveals the stunning landscape around Coyote Cows in Erendia, the riders prepare for a technical single-track day along the coast.
Today, I hear there's lots of single track today, and that's really got me excited, so can't wait to get out there and rip.
Rip to Cabo 2018!
As we kick off our second day, it's been pretty easy riding so far, but starting now it's going to get more technical and get tougher as we move down the peninsula. Single track awaits. Everyone gathers at the beginning of a less technical section of the day, a place we like to call Aspen Canyon. It's a tight, off-camber trail where you have to weave through what we call aspen trees before making your way up the trail known as Over the Mountain.
I said, go ahead, go and get it. I'm so focused, so resilient. I don't woke up to a million, trying to wake up to a billion. When I walk up in the building, I bet everybody know. I'm like Kobe with the driving, I'm like AI when I blow. Trying to fuck up my selections just like any money. Ain't nobody out here better, you can see it how I flow. I won't quit, there ain't no quitting me. My homies tried to switch on me. I'm in this thing officially, no stopping till this victory. All I really know is winning, I'ma win again. 10 seconds on the clock, I'm trying to get it in. Pass your boy the ball, go ahead, pass your boy the ball. Hit the cue with an assist, and once you pass it, I'm a ball. Go. I just hit it in the city, that's a home run. I just hit it out the park, and that's a home run. Everything I do is hit it, that's a home run. Home run, home run. I just hit it in your city, that's a home run. I just hit it out the park, and that's a home run. Everything I do is hit it, that's a home run. Home run.
Leaving Aspen Canyon, the guys start their ascent on Overton Mountain. It's a steep single track with lots of climbing that features some breathtaking vistas.
You know, the rocky single track with elevation changes definitely gets technical. It's slower riding. You know, further north, the weather's a lot more favorable, so it kind of offsets some of the challenge. But yeah, I love that type of riding. I prefer to ride the single track that's a little challenging and you're smashing rocks, just laughing the entire time versus just riding graded road at 80 miles an hour.
For me, it's more relaxing to do this than having to race. You know, this is safer. We're not going really fast. We're not, you know, risking our lives. We're out here riding with our friends and sharing good vibes. So for me, it's nice, it's relaxing.
We will hammer out 160 miles on the odometer this day, and after a couple more bangers and a quick break, we reach one of the more enjoyable trails of the trip.
Welcome back to the Monster Energy Rip to Cabo, presented by Honda Motorcycles. We are here along the Pacific Coast. Where here is, we can't really tell you, it's a secret, but I can tell you right up there is a trail we call the Spider-Man. Check this thing out, it is tight and really the bars bang off the sides. Should be interesting.
They call it Spider Canyon because the first one that goes through it gets dusted with spider webs. And I know they're trying to send some rookies through there this year.
We're gonna send Johnny first because he loves spiders.
Yeah, you crazy.
Spider Canyon is super cool. It's a 15-minute hardcore workout, and it is non-stop going up a little sand wash, and it is full of sand and full of ruts, and you just have to get in the groove and just go back and forth and just really rush through it.
Heading out of Spider-Man, we ride along some gnarly cliffs above the Pacific Ocean. We finished the day in a rocky wash with little visible trail. We could have taken an easier route, of course, but what's better than an end-of-day paint shaker style ride heading into the legendary town of El Rosario? The 2018 Rip to Cabo on ABC, brought to you by Monster Energy, Maxxis Tires, Baja Designs, the scientists of lighting, Method Race Wheels, lighter, faster, stronger.
We're going riding today into an area that I haven't been in since 1988 or 1989. We did pre-run it. We're going out to a place called Pintas, where there's ridings on the rocks and the stones and the caves. I think the riders are going to really like this.
Yeah, so you pull out of El Rosario and you kind of cut through the town a little bit, and you go up into, you know, kind of two-track rocky terrain, and then we ended up cutting down towards the Skyline Trail. And this year in particular, there was a lot of rain, so, you know, the desert was completely green.
This year's Rip to Cabo, having it in the fall is kind of a change. Usually we were able to do this in the spring, and there's like two really solid seasons for Baja, and that's spring and fall, but it makes it actually kind of a mild climate, and you know, this year's no exception. We've had just excellent clear skies every day, and it's just been incredible.
Today's ride is projected at 170 miles, and the further south we go, entering the middle of the peninsula, or as I like to call it, the Never Never, you can start to see the landscape change to what is a giant cactus forest. A couple that are my favorites are the towering cardones, as well as the boojum trees, or as I like to call them, the Dr. Seuss tree.
They're native to that area of the peninsula. And, you know, Cameron taught me that over the years, and I didn't know what the heck those darn things were, the bosom trees. And so when I know, and I've ridden down here so much, and I see, we come from El Rosario, you come up over a crest in one of the valleys, and all of a sudden you start seeing these bosom trees. I'm like, oh yeah, now the trails start getting good. It's like, that's like my sign. The terrain gets better, the single track gets better, and that's like my beacon of light is the bosom trees.
I love when we reach this part of Baja. The landscape is just breathtaking, but very foreboding. You might ask yourself, how does anyone live out here and survive in such a desolate area? Well, people have done just that, and we found the evidence to prove it.
Day 3 of the Rip to Cabo, we've been exploring some really remote places out near the Pacific Ocean, and we've come up this amazing canyon to see this rock art. I've been exploring Baja for over 3 decades and never seen this location before.
Here we are somewhere in Baja on the Los Pintos rocks. Got all types of different artwork and old images sketched into the rocks here, so I thought it'd be a good place to bring the guys to check out, take a little break, and show the new fish some new things in Baja.
The rock art is stunning, but it's time to head south as we need to head to our night's destination before it's too late.
Entering Catavina, we ended up riding Bill's Cactus Trail, which is a pretty epic trail. I want to say it's somewhere around 20 miles long. But that's kind of when you start entering what Cameron calls the Never Never. And you know, once you get into that area and you see the big bosom cactus trees, and man, it was super green this year.
Single track coming into Catavina is up there with one of my favorite trails that we've gotten to ride so far on this trip.
You know, it's just hard packed single track through some light rocks, but there's bigger rocks kind of off to the sides, so these big cactuses, and it's more or less open, but you know, once you're on that trail, you can smell Catavina.
Another one of my favorites is coming into Catavina, and it's we call it Jimmy's Trail. One of the trails Jimmy Stone's made coming into the Catavina Hotel. And that trail is just really smooth, a lot of sand corners, and kind of cutting straight across the desert. And that one you could really get moving on.
The fun of Rip to Cabo isn't limited to the riders. In 2018, Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame racer Kurt LeDuc brought his own style of fun.
Hey, all you listen up!
Yeah, you got a twin brother named Kurt?
I want to welcome you all to the 2037 Ripta. Thank you, love bubs. To Cabo. I want to welcome you all here to Catavina. She said, when I'm talking, you're not talking. We shredded up our Maxxis tires today, and I hope you guys enjoy the food and hospitality. I'm OPAB. You know, it's been 34 years putting on this rip. Where are we going, love bubs? Oh, thank you, love bubs. Cabo.
When we return, we continue our adventure towards our destination of Cabo San Lucas.
Today we're heading from Catavina down through some amazing single track, some of Jimmy Soames' greatest trails going into Bay of LA.
As we head out on another Bluebird day of riding, our Bulletproof Diesel support crew have already started their day. Most of the riders on this trip never get to experience the perspective of the support team, so I thought we could take an in-depth look at what a typical morning is like for them.
Hi, I'm Kenny Kruder. We're set up out here to do a short pit stop for the Rip to Cabo. We got the guys coming down here. They're gonna need a splash of fuel and a quick breather, some drinks, and then we're gonna send them down the trail. Get out here and set these things up. We do a lot of hurry up and wait, so we never know how fast the bike's gonna be moving down the trail for sure. Every year it changes with the skill level of the riders and whatever the weather. We need to get out there in a expeditious fashion, and then a lot of times we do end up sitting out here for quite some time waiting on them. Once we get out here, we just have to continually monitor the radios to get a good idea of when they're going to begin so that we can be ready for them and get them in and out of here as quickly as possible.
While the support crew awaits our radio transmission, the guys are preparing to ride probably the most fun single track of the trip.
I do this trip every year just so I can ride Catavina. I just kind of check the box and go, I'm whole. I'm whole now.
Heading out of Catavina, the first trail we hit is a Jimmy Soames special, which has some serious navigation points. It's a tight, technical single track where you were constantly dodging cactus and hopping over rocks. When Jimmy originally followed this trail, he found an abandoned camper shell, thus coining the name. Over the years, the integrity of the shell has fallen apart, and due to recent hurricanes moving through the peninsula, it pushed what was left into the bushes. The boys, however, decided it was time to put it back up and keep the tradition going.
Oh man, that Catavina area is for sure a powder day on a dirt bike for me. I mean, it's unbelievable. Other than the cactus coming at you from all angles at all times, the single track is unbelievable. It's really twisty and turny and really kind of narrow. Obviously, some of the best riding down here. That stuff around Catavina is just like mind-blowing how awesome that is.
Determination is greatness. Be pound, flip the language. No silver spoon for your future, so you just gotta shape it. And when you make it, they'll hate it, but they'll never mistake it for anything other than hard work. These are the basics. I feel the hunger, my heart racing, my body pacing. My time is here and I own it. Yeah, it's truly amazing. This what it sound like when all 7 shots is blazing. I'm taking your brain on a ride. This is science.
For someone who's never ridden through Catavina to where we are now is all tight, technical single track. First, second gear, you got rocks hidden in low brush that just grabs your front tire. You're lifting your hands off your handlebars a couple times, screaming in my helmet, just making sure I didn't get pricked going through the terrain.
And I mean that. I've been on the path to purpose since way back. Blood, sweat, and tears it take. They never say that. Those are the ingredients.
There's cactus, like always, you know. I still can't manage to stay out of it.
All good?
All good, Cactus?
In the sections you're resting, you're just pulling thorns out of your gloves, out of your jersey, out of your boots. Doesn't matter what height you're riding through, there's always something that can get you.
Believe. These are the things that make dreams a reality. Believe. Believe. Yes, I believe.
About an hour and a half into the camper shell, we intersect with another magical trail at a remote, nearly invisible junction. You can see in the dense brush the can that hangs in a tree just off the side of the trail where the trail gets its name. The route is even more technical and has everybody leaning away from the ever-present cholla cactus.
I mean, my arms are just jacked. The needles are longer. Kind of talking this year, like the needles were longer, but they're soft. Where usually they're really hard, but there were more of them.
Cannon Spoon Trail. We rode that this trip. It's a neat trail. It's real tight, technical, through a lot of cactus, little rocky hill climbs.
Come on, man!
This little rock section right here, the chain popped off.
In case you guys are wondering, the chain doesn't just pop off. He hit a rock probably and knocked it off. Just to be clear here on Rip to Cabo. We'll get it fixed and keep going shortly, but what an epic day on the Baja Peninsula. More Rip to Cabo when we return.
Welcome back to Baja and the Rip to Cabo. One of our most solid brothers, Andy Bonin, returned to this location for the first time after breaking his humerus here 2 years ago. Baja is no joke and should never be taken lightly.
It's hard terrain out there, long days, a lot of riding, a lot of miles, so these bikes are super strong, but that terrain's hard on anything, so.
You're riding them for 7 days straight, 10 hours a day. You know, you're going well over 1,000 miles, a couple hundred miles a day, so they're prone to have problems.
We got a bike problem, Heli Jim. We got a bike problem? We're trying to start a bike.
You know, I think with a solid bike prep and manage your equipment, and what I mean by that is just ride smart, don't ride the bike 100%, just get the bike there.
What are we gonna do with this bike? They're gonna try to bump this clutch out. They're gonna try to turn the clutch out so it'll bump start. Okay.
It's crazy out there. I personally broke down in a Razor out there with my family one year, and we spent the night. We couldn't get out.
No, there's the fuel pumps.
It's no joke. The helicopter can't lift a dirt bike out of there. I mean, you leave the bike, or you put a tow strap on it, and you pull it out.
It's a major bummer when you have to resort to towing someone out of a trail. It's definitely a lot tougher than it looks. Fortunately, it was only about a mile to a 2-track route where we could meet up with the Method Raptor.
Not sure what's going on, but we got another bike failure. Mike Phillips having problems.
That's the second bike that my trusty Honda here has had to tow this trip. Hopefully it's the last.
It's pretty unusual to see that many bikes fail that early on. Usually the bikes get a little tired towards the end and you have some minor issues. My Honda 450 started every single day, not a problem, and it still feels brand new, so.
It's for sure lame to have to load up Mike's bike for the rest of the day, but it will allow him to get to LA Bay early and try to fix his moto. We are hoping everyone gets in early, as tomorrow is almost a 300-mile day.
Sun always comes, rises in the east, right over the Gulf. And that bay with the islands out there, it's one of the beautiful things of Bay of LA. There's nothing like the sunrises there, watching that sun come up. The reds and the oranges and the yellows that come from that are absolutely spectacular.
Beautiful morning here in Bay of LA.
Had to get the shot for the Instagram so people at home can see where we're at. Today's gonna be a long day, and if you don't have monkey butt already, today's the day to get it.
With the longest day ahead of us at nearly 300 miles and going coast to coast, the boys are treated to a spectacular sunrise over the Sea of Cortez. Sunrise becomes our graded road backdrop as we depart before 6 a.m.
It seems to always be big days coming out of Bay of LA for some reason, because it's like there's nothing after Bay of LA for a while, and it's a lot of road. You have to take that road to El Arco, which is part of the race course, and I've raced that road numerous times on motorcycles. I hate it.
By the time we get to LA Bay, we're like, what, 3 days in? And my hands are usually always beat up, so that road hurts.
I think we had a guy one year hit a rock and break his arm on it. It like that, you're done.
After about 50 miles of pounding graded roads, we make a stop at a place that is very special to the Desert Assassins and many who travel Baja off-road.
The place is fondly known as Pancho's San Rafael Fish Camp, and sadly, this last year Pancho passed away. For many, many years we've been coming here on our truck and bike trips, sharing it with friends and family, and it's bittersweet to come here for the first time and not have Pancho here to greet us. And I thought what we would do while we have a moment here on the Rip to Cabo is do a little flashback and check out some of the times we spent with Pancho and just a little visit here at San Rafael Fish Camp. God bless you, Pancho. We miss you, buddy.
For the past decade, we have been coming to Pancho's fish camp at San Rafael at least once or twice a year to visit and bring him supplies because he had no car. The closest town to him was Bahia de Los Angeles, about 55 miles away, and he counted on friends stopping by randomly to help him out. Pancho was an amazing character. He always had time to greet us with a smile, and his hospitality and generosity, along with that smile, will never be forgotten. Vaya con Dios, Pancho. Welcome back to the 2018 Monster Energy Rip to Cabo presented by Honda Motorcycles. After taking time to pay our respects to Pancho, the boys and I throw our legs over the bikes as we prepare to tackle another 200 plus miles on the day, as we leave the Sea of Cortez, headed for the Pacific side of the peninsula.
Anything can happen, it's Baja. You know, expect the unexpected is the key thing for down here. There were 2 hurricanes coming down here this year, and the one was allegedly a Category 5. We didn't know what it was going to look like because the storms had come through, and we were concerned like it's going to be gone just because so much rain came through there.
I think our Raptors could have some trouble here. We're in the middle of a creek, trying to get the trucks across. There's been some apparent hurricane came through here, but we'll make it through.
We're in some remote areas. Even though we have Raptors and we got some great equipment chasing us, I will say it's a great feeling, and you know you can charge a little harder when you do have that chopper flying over as your lifeline. So to have this kind of support really makes a trip fantastic.
Getting everyone through the water crossings is a huge relief after the recent hurricanes. As we push forward, I see some pretty epic single track in our near future.
I was really, really excited coming into San Juanico this year, and even though it had been a long day and a lot of miles, and being able to ride up front, Andy Bonham and myself, we had a little cat and mouse game through there for 26 miles. It was spectacular.
There's no better feeling than being in the zone and really flying through there, side to side, blasting through the corners. You got the heli flying right above you. It's just surreal, and it's just a feeling that's hard to describe unless you're out here doing it.
You know, we're all in this kind of, separate out lineup, and you'll catch up on one guy, and then you'll back away, and then the next guy will be catching up, so it's this kind of cat and mouse game that's going on all the time.
After getting the chance to ride some all-time trails, the sun sets over the Pacific side of the peninsula as we complete the longest day of the trip.
After doing this trip for 13 years, it gets difficult to continually try and make it different and unique for everybody. But something else that we did this year that we've never done was actually had a down day, like a lay day. And we did that in Scorpion Bay, which is an iconic surf break. It's a right hand point break, which is my favorite. And so it couldn't have come at a better time because for some reason this year the bikes really needed a lot of maintenance.
I just can't figure out why. And it was like, whether it was this OEM or that OEM, it was across the board, and it was random things that were happening too. So it's just another one of those unexpected, no matter how prepared you are, things just happen.
When you come down to Baja and you're gonna be down here in the remote areas, you really need to set your bike up, pay attention, get the work done prior to coming down here. And it appears some of the guys didn't take that advice, and now we're ripping motors apart and trying to get them running.
Down day is awesome. Just bike prep, little rest, let the hands heal, little oil change. So so far so good. Maybe do some surfing later.
This is a very unique town. I mean, it's off the grid. Everywhere you go, I'm amazed at how welcoming and how friendly the people are. They love seeing you roll into the town. The kids come running out. They're excited to see you. It's really a cool thing. You just don't get that experience anywhere else I've ever ridden. So I can see the love that everyone has for Cameron and the whole crew. You can tell they've been spreading the stoke for a long time down here.
They're very appreciative of what Cameron and his whole group of people bring down. The generosity and the charity that they contribute on their trips. You know, case in point today, right now, there's a bunch of guys down at the San Juanico skate park donating their time to reskin a bunch of the ramps for the community.
We brought some extra plywood down here to resurface the ramps for these kids. We're gonna come back next year and they're all gonna be ripping. So we're stoked. We're just helping the kids of San Juanico out.
It's good to have something for the kids to do. Keep them out of trouble. Let them play out here in the skate court. They've got lights at night. Get them back out here on their bikes and skateboards and get a healthy distraction, get them off the couch and stay out of trouble.
It wasn't just a chance to work on your bikes and let your body recover. I'm good going every day, but it's pretty darn cool to go jump in the water and surf, whether you're a surfer or not. But going out there and having someone like with Sonny Garcia, who's a legend of surf, helping you.
Guy just came out and, I just gave him some points, just a typical, bend your knees, keep your hands out, look at the beach, and shoved everybody in the wave.
To be honest, I've surfed quite a bit in my life, and I would never claim to be a great surfer, but I took the opportunity to go out there with Sonny Garcia, world champion in Vans Triple Crown, and just paddle out there and have him push me into waves. I wanted to be a part of that.
Pretty impressed that everybody did that good, and especially after being beat up from the trail so bad, and everybody got up and rode waves, so just sharing the stoke is pretty incredible.
As we begin to close down the surf session, the boys start laying down some lines that will be formerly known as the Maxxis Circle Sand Race.
Let's just say there's going to be a show here, and it's going to be kind of crappy.
Several hundred people from the town come down. We put on a show for them, doing a circle sand race, which was awesome.
With permission from the town and the entire city of San Juanico invited to join us, 16 riders line up for their shot to be crowned this year's Maxxis Circle Sand Race champion. There will be 4 rounds that lead into a 4-rider final. The rules are simple. You get past, you're out. Don't get past, and you advance.
I got robbed!
This year's race was a time for laughter for not only the riders, but for the families that gathered to watch as well. With very little berm, there was some slow motion tip overs and some great drifting action by the likes of Honda factory rider Ricky Brabeck and RIP rookie Jeff Pillone.
Hey, I'm dizzy. Can you guys go straight for a little bit?
Let's see, they've been doing brackets, and now the top 4 are in there. They're doing the final, and last man standing wins. See what happens. You get past, you're out. Should be a good show.
All right, this is the finals. This is 2018 Rip to Cabo Circle Sand Race. All the finalists stand in the middle facing me. When I say go, they're gonna sprint to their bikes and start the race.
The finals came down to riding medic Mike Myers, known as Yeti, of the Glendale Fire Department, Canadian Riley Storman, rookie Wayne Innermill from Colorado, and myself. And it was a slow motion show that ended with AB Off the Grid Catering feeding all that were there, which looked to be about 250 locals and kids, families and riders.
All right, first place, Cameron Steele. Second place, the Yeti.
We have our winners of a very long, fun, eventful Circle Sand Race. In third place, we have Riley Storman. Yeah, Riley.
Thanks, boys.
Second place goes to the Yeti, our riding medic, Mike Meyer.
Yeah.
And taking the win, first place, Trail Boss, Cameron Steele.
Right on. I'm just stoked to be able to share early dinner with the whole town of San Juanico we invited down here. Thanks to the people of San Juanico and Baja for having a great time, hosting us, and always having open arms and high fives.
We got some of the boys here that ride on the trip with us, feeding all the locals. They're all sitting in line. You can see how long the line is there. Everybody's gathering here and kind of a give back to the land, to the people here that are giving to us and let us come out here and roost around Baja. So sharing the stoke, here we are.
And that was one of the special moments the entire trip for me that I hadn't really thought much about. And then I was there, I was talking to Cameron, I was like, man, this is really cool. I mean, look at the look on these kids' faces. We all put together gift packages and shirts and hats and stickers and food bags and all sorts of stuff. And they got a really good meal cooked by Alec and his crew. And it was special.
Our rest day's over. Now we gotta go ride dirt bikes again. Unfortunately, doesn't sound like a bad idea.
Heading out of San Juanico, we have around 165 miles on the day. Doesn't take long though before we have a bike down.
Even as prepared as we are now, 13 years later, we're not that much further than we were from year one, where bikes were breaking down all the time, I guess. But now we have Ford Raptors following us down.
We go down these trails, and a lot of them are 2 tracks, a lot of them are single tracks, and I cannot believe the Raptors can actually go through there. Cameron and the whole group's like thinking there's no way they're gonna make it, and it was pretty unbelievable that where these trucks can go. They're unbelievable vehicles.
Without the crew, like, this trip would not be what it is.
We were passing through Insurgentes, about 3 hills over, going through a single track. We're gonna cut them off up here about 4 miles up, but this place is amazing. It's beautiful. It's for the physically fit people. Not me.
This is the first time ever we have entered La Purísima from anywhere other than the pavement, and it was an epic ride that was blown apart by recent hurricanes. The trail is simply known now as Baby Cow Canyon, and is actually a route used decades ago to move cattle, we believe. 18 miles more or less of picking our way through blown apart arroyos was pretty hair-raising.
Lots of rocks, there's no rhythm to it, and lots of water crossings. So it gave for good video because it seemed like a lot of people were really struggling to get through those water crossings.
The desert for this time of year is so green. I felt like the cactuses are going through a second spring right now. This is what happens to your handguards. No matter how thick or hard the plastic is, these things go right through like needles. I can't even break it off.
Navigating through these trails is no small task, as it proved to be challenging for even the pro-level riders on this trip. As is customary, we gather for a group photo as we pass through Baby Cow Canyon and continue on towards the town of Kathmandu.
I think most dirt bikers really love the variety. I know I do, and that's one thing I love about these trips is the variety of terrain that we get to ride. I would guess if you asked all the riders what their favorite section was, although it may be hard to guess, it would be the mangroves. The mangroves are a section of kind of lowland down by the ocean that gets these water inlets in there, and it kind of keeps the dirt moist, and you have like these trees and bushes that kind of grow in, and you get these real fun, smooth flowing lines that go through this wet dirt.
We roost on to make our way south along the mangroves of Mag Bay to our night 7 destination. These sandy 2-tracks can be epic good times. This will be the final night of just the boys hanging out. The 2018 Rip to Cabo on ABC, brought to you by Honda Motorcycles, Baja HQ, sharing the stoke, Lucas Oil Products, made in America, sold to the world, and Bulletproof Diesel.
Look at this. I caught the prankster. He's making rounds right now, and he's zip tying people's helmets. He's a pretty famous guy. He races in Dakar. Goes by the name of Ricky Brabeck, the prankster. But I caught him. But I think he's onto the Yeti and a few others right now, so keep an eye on him making his rounds around here this last day.
You know, you always got to do the jokes in the last day, so that way there is no next day to get jokes pulled on you. So I got Yeti last night, so we're going to see how that goes this morning. I don't know where he's at. Put his helmet's right here on the ground, and there's a zip tie in my hand.
Look at that.
Everybody, we're having a moment.
Let's go ride some dirt bikes.
So the last day of the trip, you know, everyone, they're pretty worn out, but you just get this adrenaline that rushes through your body. And, you know, you can smell Cabo, whether it's you're excited to complete what you started or meet up with your family and friends and celebrate. It's a pretty exciting part of the trip for sure.
The whole thing about the Rip for me is, you know, getting on your bike and forgetting work and creating, you know, friendships with the chase team, the riders, and everybody really creates a big brotherhood. It's just an experience that's become part of my life, and I'm just super stoked to be a part of it.
We're all a big team down here, and without us all working together, it's something that we just couldn't achieve.
Part of the Desert Assassin's credo is to do, see, and live while sharing the stoke. For myself and my riding brothers, Rip to Cabo is much more than just a dirt bike ride. Riding all those miles, reflecting on life's challenges, and knowing our families are just moments away helps put everything into perspective. Even the toughest of men can be brought to tears as we turn the corner to the office on Medano Bay.
When you pull into town and you see the ocean and you see all the big resorts and, you know, you ride right into town and you see your families and everyone's celebrating it, it's a pretty special experience.
The new guys had never been on the Rip before, seeing the looks on their faces when they come into the office and their wives are there, and just the way that people are all lining the streets now. And the mariachis are playing, and people are taking pictures and shooting video, and you know your wife and family's there waiting for you, knowing that you just tracked 1,500 miles of some of the gnarliest terrain in the world on a dirt bike. Like, you dodged all those bullets.
Had a blast, great trip. 2018 is in the books.
This year, 1,278 miles, 8 days, a couple hurricanes to dodge, but it's no match for Rip to Cabo this year. And just stoked to say everybody's safe, and much love to all our brothers that can't be here and weren't here. We're still thinking about you guys. Love forever. That's gonna do it. We're gonna go jump in the water here in Cabo. With thoughts of our brothers who are no longer with us, we celebrate another epic trip to Cabo with mariachis, great friends, and the traditional cleansing of the soul in Medano Bay. We thank you for joining us. For more on the Desert Assassins, find us on social media.